Managing security indicators, and as depicted on this slide, is a matter of when you're able to identify it and what are the actions that need to take place. And in the industry, we typically call this left of boom or right of boom, boom being that explosion of when that security indicator really pops on your network. Everything to the left of boom is the preparation side. That's ensuring that you have an incident response plan. That's practicing your incident response plan through tabletop exercises. That's appropriate training for your personnel so they know not to click on phishing links, or if they click on something, to immediately notify the security team so that full investigation or response can take place. Everything to the right of boom, the right of that security indicator, that's the response. That's when you're putting your incident response plan in place. So that security indicator and being able to identify when that malicious or when that unintentional or unauthorized activity occurs is critically important. And the companies, the organizations that are able to effectively identify those security indicators are more effectively able to respond and to put their plans into place. A security incident response plan, in general, outlines your response to a security indicator that's proven to be a legitimate threat. And so those security indicators, your security team is going to look at them and determine whether or not this is actually a threat and results in an incident, or if it's something that can be mitigated and or ignored. But the plan is what provides the structured approach to managing and mitigating the impact of security incidents. Some characteristics of an effective incident response plan. They need to be clear. They need to be current and up to date. They really need to be well practiced. And what that means is the plan needs to be straightforward. It has to be easy to understand. You have to be able to outline specific roles, responsibilities, and actions that are going to be taken during that incident. They also need to be current. If you have a call tree or a phone roster or email addresses for the incident response team, those need to be regularly updated. If you change your insurance carrier or your insurance policy, you need to make sure that that new insurance carrier is approving the external forensics team or restoration team that's going to come in. That way, the plan is always going to be a living document, and it's going to be something that's regularly updated so that it can be put into a place and still be effective. And then it needs to be well practiced. Regular drills, whether they're tabletop exercises or what I like to call cyber fire drills, and simulations, those types of things ensure that everyone knows what their role is and that they can execute that plan effectively under pressure. When you're in a crisis, having a plan makes all the difference. The incident response plan helps to ensure that your response is coordinated and efficient, it minimizes damage, and it really helps to speed up recovery. It also enhances your organization's ability to meet your legal and regulatory obligations in avoiding potential penalties. We'll talk about this in a later slide as well, but there are very specific timelines and notifications, whether it's to state attorneys general, whether it's to regulators, or the notifications to individuals that must be very strictly adhered to, otherwise you open yourself up to liability. And so an effective incident response plan really isn't just a standalone document. It's a living document. It's a living framework that's going to guide your organization through the complexities of a security incident, and the clarity, the currency, and the regular practice are critical in ensuring that you have and maintain a robust response. So here is the left of boom preparation that we were talking about. And this is the preparation part is really key to creating an effective incident response plan. The incident response plan, again, is that framework, it's that document, but making sure that that document is practiced, making sure everyone involved knows their roles and responsibilities is that key aspect. So creating an incident response team that fits your organization and that meets your organizational requirements is one of the most important parts. Looking at your organization, it's going to depend on the size, the complexity as to who's involved. Some companies that are very small, or some organizations that are small, they've got a director of IT, they might have a general counsel, and then they have a C-suite along with the typical other employees. That type of incident response team very well may include the CEO. Where if you have a very large health system that has its own security operations center, a CISO, a CIO, a general counsel, that incident response team is going to look very different. So understanding who is on your internal incident response team and what their roles and responsibilities are is really important. In that team, that's going to include not only internal personnel, but also external entities that are going to help to support or help to augment your team. One of those is legal, and as an attorney, it's that my shameless plug. You want to have outside counsel who's going to be part of that incident response team for a variety of reasons. One is specialization. Not all attorneys understand cybersecurity or understand their requirements. having an attorney that really understands the legal landscape around what to do in the event of a cybersecurity incident, given your specific industry, given your specific organization, is critically important. The other reason why you want to bring legal in, though, as outside counsel, is for the purposes of privilege. Typically, when an incident occurs, the first call you want to make is to your attorney. And the reason being is because then your attorney can hire on your behalf the forensics team that's going to do the investigation, the restoration team that's going to bring your network back online, the e-discovery vendor that's going to go through and identify what is actually in the data. If your attorney hires them, that can all be done under privilege, which means that you have a better chance of protecting that information from discovery in the event of a class action suit. And class action lawsuits, as well as regulatory investigations, are happening at an increasing rate. And it's something that you want to consider at the very outset of an incident as to how you're going to put yourself in a defensible position. Other elements that you want to include in there are your insurance broker and your insurance carrier. You want to make sure you have good points of contact in that when an event occurs and an incident occurs, you know who to call and in what time frame. Because each insurance policy, if you have coverage, there is a very specific timeline under which you need to report it to insurance. Otherwise, they will deny coverage. And I've seen firsthand that that happens more frequently than anyone would like to admit. Despite the fact that you're paying your premiums every month, if you don't actually report it in a timely manner, it gives your carrier the opportunity to deny that coverage. So it's really important to make sure you have them involved as well. And then IT, not just your internal IT team, but your managed service provider and your forensics team. You need to understand who's in the best position to respond to an incident and to support you as you move through this incident. The other aspect with IT is you want to make sure that you're differentiating between, if you have a managed service provider, that you're not also including that you're including a separate forensics team that's going to come in and do the investigation that's apart from your managed service provider. And the reason being is because you want to make sure that you've got a second or third set of eyes that's looking at the incident, where if the managed service provider may have been at fault, you could potentially have a cause of action against the managed service provider that you very much want to preserve. But in general, the managed service provider also has access to all of the information that's critical to responding to and recovering from the incident. And so I don't want to paint them in any way to be a bad actor, but making sure that you're protecting yourself and your organization is really important.